Welcome to the Creative Boom podcast. I'm your host, Katie Cowan. For episode 55, my guest is brand consultant William Seabrook. Based in Manchester, William began his career back in 2002 when he graduated with a degree in visual communication from Birmingham City University. He spent 3 years working as a fashion illustrator, embracing his passion for drawing. But then he ventured into design and ran his own business for 13 years before launching Partisan, a branding consultancy in Manchester that works closely with clients in the built environment. Here we chat about growing businesses, the lessons we learn and the mistakes we make, all leading to something bigger and better. There's talk of business plans and reaching for the stars. Hell, why not? What else have we got to lose? Having a similar path in many ways, William and I almost forget we're doing a podcast, and we talk honestly about our experiences, particularly of finding opportunities in difficult times. So if you're in the midst of growing a business or studio and you want some advice or just a little comfort that you're not alone, I'm confident you'll find this episode helpful. But before we dive into my conversation with William, I'd like to thank our sponsor Shillington, the original graphic design bootcamp where in as little as 3 months you can go from dreamer to designer. We'll be hearing some helpful career advice from Shillington later in the show. But for now, here's my chat with William. It is so nice to see you, William. The last time we saw each other was in person about a couple of years ago.
It was in the summer, wasn't it, for your 10th
I know.
Anniversary? I think that was the first time we met. Obviously, I've known the publication and yourself through that, but never met you. But my friend Carl from Flow, we used to share an office, and he was like, "Oh, there's this event coming up." I was like, "Yeah, of course." So I tried to get a ticket. You ghosted me.
God!
I know. You had a lot on, and I just barged in a little bit tipsy anyway, so.
I love that. That's brilliant. You party crashed and you're only just telling about me now.
Had to.
Well, I was so sort of nervous about that event that I think I got a bit carried away about how many guest numbers there were, because, you know, the venue was pretty strict and they were like, you can't have any more than this. And I think in my head, I just thought, oh God, I'll just invite this much. But nobody ever told me.
Too much fun.
Yeah, exactly. But I know what to do next time. I'll just be like, oh, just all come. It'll be great.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
But yeah,
socially distanced.
I don't like having that much power. Like, you know, having a guest list.
Are you introverted in that
Yes.
respect? Right, okay.
Very much. Are you?
I'm not. But I like spending a lot of time on my own.
Right.
It's a
that
weird
makes
one.
sense.
It's a weird one because it's kind of, I suppose it's kind of the definitions of it, because I'm content on my own, but I'm very sociable.
Yes.
And,
well, you are.
Yeah, and it's, so being in lockdown for 18 months has been really good. Or how long? Has it been 18 months? A year, sorry. It's been really good because it's kind of that kryptonite thing where you kind of, you're trapped in a place, so you have to focus. So that's been really positive, because otherwise I'm out just networking, going for drinks, meeting people, all those sorts of good stuff. But
No, sit back a bit, because it's like popping.
What about now?
Yeah, that's better. Okay. You don't have to sit and talk into it like that, because it'll just pop.
Okay.
Right. I might just leave that on the podcast.
Right.
Me bossing you around.
Yeah, jeez. But no, it's. I think that the 12 months have been really, really. Obviously, we've been wrapped in a pandemic, and we've been in the deepest recession in 300 years. So there's a lot to be said.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is that? Jeez.
So, and we won't see the washout of that until September.
Yeah, exactly. When the furlough stops. Yeah.
But yeah, the deepest recession in 3 years. It was looming anyway, but the pandemic took us into it.
Yeah.
And so all of that in context, but then having time to really just focus I say focus in between homeschooling and all those things, but just not being sociable in the same way, and just building and working on the business has been really important. So that's been useful.
Yeah.
And now we're obviously rebuilding and emerging as an economy and people. So
Partisan is your kind of business?
Yeah, so I set it up with my business partner, Daniel. I had our first business from 2006 to 2018.
Yeah, I stalked you on LinkedIn this morning. You were freelancing for 13 years.
No, I wasn't freelancing. That's LinkedIn for you. But it was a company, so we employed as well. So
right.
I worked as a freelancer. So I'll go back a few moments. I trained as an illustrator.
Yes.
And I fell in love with fashion illustration during my time in Birmingham.
Yeah, you did. That's how you started off your career.
Yeah. So, and just loved, my drawing style was quite akin to fashion illustration. So people like René Guerrero, etc. And I was really inspired by more the illustrations than the fashion scene in that sense. So I just kind of persevered with that, and then luckily got a job as a fashion illustrator for a company that worked with some big brands for 3 years or 6 seasons. And I got the job when I moved to Manchester after uni. So moved to Chorlton in 2006. Got a job, in 2003, then got a job in Birmingham. So I had to commute 3 days a week for 3 years for that.
Good grief. That's a bit of a trek.
Yeah, it was. But it's kind of like there's not many jobs around that were suitable to what I was passionate about. And then through that, as a young person, just kind of absorbing everything, being involved in a really nice design team, doing some really good work, and then got to a point where I wanted to move on. I wanted to move on in the company, so I wrote my first business plan then, and kind of like to set up a graphic design kind of brand part to their company, which the MD wanted to go ahead with. And that recession hit in 2006-07. So he ran out of money. That was quite a big crash at that point. And you can see it in all the cities, all the buildings just stopped. All the cranes just stopped.
That was crazy, wasn't it? Crazy time.
Yeah. And so that plan was put on hold. I got made redundant at that point, but I've been building up I had no intention of going into business. I just wanted to draw. I was building up my kind of business acumen, they say these days. Just reading on the train, going to and from, just reading on the train. I had a load of time to kill. And just follow that through. So when I was made redundant and the crash happened, I was in a position to kind of like, well, I'm not earning that much money, so let's just kind of go and set up my own business, which I did. And luckily during that recession, I partnered with a product design agency in Chorlton, and we worked together for about 18 months, and that kind of helped me through that whilst the recession was happening. But it ran its course, and I was having time out for about 6 months, and met my business partner at the time. I actually decided to niche into working with architects. Met a business partner in a co-working space in Colony in town, and he trained as an architect, was working as a consultant for architects, and we just got chatting, and we were like, shall we set something up together?
Great.
And so we did. And from my perspective, it was because we'd niched into architecture, which is now kind of broadened into the built environment, so that's architects, engineers, urban designers, etc.
Yeah.
Having somebody who's trained in architecture, worked in practice, agency side, gives quite a lot of credibility to to the brand. And just so we could, from my perspective, we've got one of them this side. But then that's just part of it. Having an architect's mind in the agency is really useful as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. I always think partnerships are very complicated things, though. If you can drop on someone that, you know, complements what you can do and they can't do, and vice versa, but also
Yeah.
you have that level of trust. I mean, that is absolute gold.
It's massive. And I think in my first business, that classic kind of do it on my own and then build something. Not that I was anti having a business partner, but it was just that it didn't happen that way. But this time, it's like 50% of a business. We've actually got 3 of us in now. We've got a software director as well. But just at the beginning, it was 50% of the business, but actually that 50% was more like 500%.
Right.
Because we're bringing so much more to it. It's not like we don't lose anything, we gain so much. So we set up a couple of years ago, we started doing roundtables of just having leaders in the built environment. So whether it's, as I say, investors, developers, all these sorts of people. And we put on a couple of months. And then, so we built our market, and then we understood what the need was in the market, and then we built the studio around that. Then the pandemic hit, like everybody.
Woo!
So a load of money that we were going to earn, we had to wait a while. But at that point, it was a case of, well, how do we adapt and keep being engaged, keep engaging with our contacts, as opposed to just ringing up and saying, oh, you've got any work. It's like, how do we engage the market? And so we started our webinars, and we've had all sorts of people from the Mayor of Salford come down to loads of people.
Wow.
And that's been really useful to kind of keep that momentum, especially as we talked earlier about the recession as well, although it's not hit the construction industry as hard as other industries.
No.
But yeah, it's just kept us engaged, and we've slowly started doing work again, and we're now a team of 4. And yeah, it's going in the right direction.
That was a smart way to approach it then.
Yeah, as if it was designed that way. But.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, I suppose we all had that moment where the shock impacted, and then, you know, you take stock, don't you? And you start to sort of rationalise, okay, this has happened. It's out of our control. What can we do? What can we do positively? And actually doing it that way.
There's loads.
So much.
Like, I think it was 1987 was when the first co-office sharing happened.
Blimey, really? That's quite. I'm a bit surprised by that, actually.
In that recession. So the trend from that to co-working to now remote working, etc., has kind of been on that arc.
Well, just think about all the technology that's like been forced to push on really fast in the last sort of 12 months that otherwise so many people would have put off.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we won some nice work, some software work in Bournemouth, and it was a blessing really, because to actually travel to Bournemouth from Manchester just to meet the client, to prep all that stuff, and then not even to have won the work, we had about 4 or 5 20-minute meetings, and we won the work.
Brilliant.
And then we've just been doing the work that way, and we may meet the client at some point, but he's not particularly looking to meet us face to face. He's got a young family and all these sorts of things. So I just think that when I was speaking to a friend of mine, it's like, this is a big element of work now. And work and life are, yes, we will be coming, face to face and all those sorts of things. But I think now that it's mainstream, and the stuff that people in the digital world have known for a long time, that you can work remotely quite successfully.
Absolutely. You don't have to have that conversation with a potential London client anymore, where you say, well, okay, so, half an hour meeting out of your day is great. But for me, it's like, I've got to come down on the train. I've got to do 2 hours one way, 2 hours the other. And it takes up a whole day.
But I think that when you're younger as well, I think that that's a good, that travel is part of the, doing something but feeling like you're part of something. But it's a massive, I don't know if it's a 100% waste of time. But now, like in my life, I've got other responsibilities with children and all those things, and watching football. But it's not productive, and it's but again, I there's that balance that people talk about.
Yeah.
In terms of, I think probably 95% of the people don't want to go back to the office full time now.
Yeah, something like that. It's crazy.
So
although I know loads of people who are itching to get back because working from home's driving them insane.
Yeah, I'm probably a 2-day-a-weeker. I'll go somewhere for 2 days.
Yeah, I'm totally the same. Yeah. Absolutely. Just got to find a desk somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. But it's an interesting one. So out of the, I was saying to a client the other day, out of the measles pandemic, one of those words, that kind of spurred on modernist architecture design. Because of the cleanliness of the buildings and all those sorts of things that had to, from hospital designs, etc. And that kind of moved into architecture.
So out of the darkness, there always is that kind of glint of light, And
it's like, we've been through a, what's the phrase? Well,
shit time.
We've been through a really shit time. I'm going to use a different word. But there will be changes and they will last.
Yeah.
And I think that the definitions between what is work and social will have more meaning and more clarity for the companies that get it right.
Yeah.
I think that the ones that, there's always, the phrase I heard was the office being a KPI.
Yes.
In the past, and that's massive things, like you have to be at your desk till such and such. Otherwise, if you go early, you're not part of the team. You don't get a pay rise.
Absolutely, yeah. I remember those days working for someone else in Manchester. People look on my LinkedIn; they're not on there. No, honestly. But you'd rock up at 8:15 because that's just when the train came in, and you'd take that time to have a cup of tea and maybe catch up on your emails, and then you always felt guilty going on time because other people wouldn't, and there was this politics in the room, and it was almost like the room collectively held its breath as you sort of said, right, I'm going now because I've got all my work done. And I kind of was a bit naive when I started out in that world. So I hope all that has gone.
I think that, and I think that got worse as well. I think that there was that, absolutely. But then with technology such as WhatsApp, where people would slag each other off through those channels.
Right.
And, it's like, so it's really tribal in that sense. And that's all about leadership and culture.
New problems for bosses to solve, I guess.
Or if they want to, some don't.
Right, yeah.
But anyway, that's kind of like, but I think that there's an opportunity for, I think that we need, even introverts need social. But it's having the right space for that, where it's not necessarily just about working from there, it's the collaboration and all those sorts of things. And then going back into your home, wherever that is, if it's in your home or if it's in a local co-working space or whatever that looks like. I think that, and also the other things around accessibility, and people have all sorts of different conditions that they can work and be very productive, but getting to a place is actually quite difficult.
Yeah.
So there's it's going to open up the margins a bit more and make it more of a level playing field, hopefully, for the smart businesses. And also when culture, in terms of people, employees, there's so much more power there, and transparency is really important and conducive with the web as well, obviously. So the companies that think they're holding on to this kind of office-based KPIs I mentioned, they're the Titanics.
Yeah, they really are. And I was talking to a friend about this. How is it going to affect the Bay Area and all the kind of tech companies? Now that they're sort of, some of them are announcing they're going fully remote. That obviously presents lots of amazing benefit, but it also means, if you're a software developer in that area, you're now not just competing with all of the amazing software developers in that area, but amazing software developers all over the world.
Yeah, and I think that's where personal brand comes into it.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
and that's another added pressure, isn't it? Because the world, even though it's opening up and that's a wonderful thing, it does kind of present a little bit of a problem for you, the individual.
It's, again, and this is you said earlier about the challenges of the business owners, but now it's like the problem are now potentially positives for the individual to build a life around around their value. So I think it's just a really interesting time that will obviously get more clear as we move through it. I mean, I just want to go back to the pub is my point.
Yes, I want to go back to the pub. Really do. Just like put the world to rights over, several pints with some intelligent people such as yourself.
Well,
yeah, I mean, God, when you think we're similar age, aren't we, William?
Well, I would never ask, but I'm 41. So
I'm 42, 43
so
this August.
You're a bit older than me, is what you're saying.
A little bit, but I had a year out, so I graduated in 2000.
You don't have a year out from your birthdays, though, do you?
No, I meant in terms of going to university, darling. Because I was about to say you graduated in 2002.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which was a rocky year for the stock market. It was when New Labour wasn't doing so well in the polls and gaming was coming of age. It was also the year that Denzel Washington won an Oscar.
Yeah, remember that.
And Star Wars made a comeback. And also at the box office. Yes. And guess what? It was also the year that My Big Fat Greek Wedding came out. So now do you feel old?
Now I feel like I'm having to turn back the cogs. But I was partying a bit harder than that. I think so I'm trying to think what happened in 2002. Yeah, I'd actually gone back to Leicester, actually. So I'd gone back to Leicester, lived with my parents for a year. And then moved to Manchester. My girlfriend, who's now still my girlfriend, we've not got married yet. She didn't want to move to Leicester. I didn't want to stay in Leicester, obviously.
Right.
No disrespect to Leicester.
No disrespect.
And so she's from Manchester, and when I moved up, it was great because then she buggered off to Japan for the summer to work
amazing!
Out there. Yeah, she's an artist, so she worked with another artist in the mountains in Japan. And then me and my mate Rory, we just partied all summer. It was like his girlfriend went to Malaysia to see her family. And
that was rather convenient.
It was
for you
brilliant.
both.
It was brilliant. And so I just explored Manchester with him, from Music Box to all sorts.
The Music Box. Yeah. Now you're talking.
Yeah, I remember
seeing
Dynamo.
Nights in there.
I remember seeing Dynamo there.
Dynamo. Yeah, I think I was there that night.
There was a night. So yeah, he was. I don't think he was DJing at that point, but anyway, I remember seeing Dynamo there one night. We had some really good nights, and we were on Unity Radio. We used to DJ there for a little bit, and then
you used to be a DJ as well.
Yeah, and not very technical, good taste.
Yes.
Mates. Yeah, there's a group of us. We used to play at festival as well every year, and that was good fun.
Can you see this in the background in the loft? Hang on, I'm going to probably make lots of noise turning my laptop. Hang on. Dun, dun, dun,
oh, nice.
Dun, dun.
Nice.
Well, it's not mine, it's Tom's.
So what does Tom play?
He's just got loads of old house records in there. He doesn't even know what's there. Those records have followed us around for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that we've actually bought him a mixer.
Oh, really?
Got him a mixer, got a home for it, and because this is like the spare room / my study / Tom's desk space.
Yeah.
He just rolls my office chair over there and just happily goes on it for an hour.
See, that seems like a good idea. So it's but yeah, so that was a big. That summer was really just loads of fun. Manchester was great at that point, and being at that age as well, so early 20s, and then kind of like grow up a little bit, don't you? After about a decade of it.
You speak for yourself. I'm still 21.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I can relate to that.
They were good times. I'm trying to remember what was in the charts in 2002.
Yeah,
not that we really sort of followed the charts back then. We were kind of the generation that grew up downloading music when we weren't really supposed to, and remember that old Napster. And
I remember downloading like albums off Napster that I had to download. It took me about 6 weeks to download an album. Baked bean can dial up.
Yeah. Did you were you much of a gamer when you were a kid? Were you into your technology back then?
Well, I'm not in a nerdy way. I was into, like, I had game consoles and all those sorts of things, but I never got into like online gaming and all of that. But I'm living it through my kids now, so they conveniently like computer games as well. So I do, but I'm kind of more. I grew up with Spectrums, and then the Sega stuff, and then all those sorts of things, and then the PlayStations, etc. But now it's more Nintendo because it's for the kids.
Yeah.
But also, it's easier. I don't have to commit too much to it. I don't have to go down into different worlds and understand the characters. Like, it's very simplistic, good fun, in and out for 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever.
A bit of like Overcooked and things like that, and
yeah. So, I'm not nerdy with it. I know loads of people who are like, just, our Games Workshop kind of DNA, then they go into this world and they live in it. I kind of like to live in the real world. Not that that's not the real world. I don't mean to be disrespectful.
Hang on a minute. Are you telling me Animal Crossing's not the real world?
I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is.
You basically pick weeds and plant trees.
No, that sounds like the real world, doesn't it? That sounds good.
And now for a short break to get a word from our sponsor Shillington, the original graphic design bootcamp. Lovish Saini is a visual designer and also a teacher at Shillington's Manchester campus here in the UK. I asked Lovish, what is one thing that you wish someone had told you when you started out as a designer?
I think it's a question that really haunts me at night because it's one of those things where there's so many things that I wish somebody had told me and so many things I wish I knew at the time. But at the same time, my answer might actually contradict the question itself. Because the best advice I think I wish I was given was to stop looking for signs from, people like me on this podcast at the moment, where I just wish I spent more time learning to fail and learning to actually get back up and kind of grow from my own mistakes rather than look for those answers somewhere else. I think that experience is invaluable.
To find out more about studying graphic design at one of Shillington's 6 campuses around the world or via its online course, visit shillingtoneducation.com. Now, back to William. Are you still mates with all the people that you hung around with back then?
Yeah, very much. We're going for beers tomorrow night, actually, in town.
Nice.
We've not seen each other for ages, so one of my mates is coming up from Oxford tomorrow. He actually did a philosophy degree at Oxford, and he's the head of philosophy at Oxford now, or something like that. He's coming up. Then my mate's coming down from, wherever, across from Yorkshire, then another mate South Manchester. So we're meeting up on Friday, which will be the first time, obviously, that we've seen each other for a long time. Although it's been quite good, actually. We've made the most, like everybody else, we made the most of the pandemic, where we've just set up our WhatsApp group and just putting together playlists every week and just sharing a creative playlist with each other to keep that interest going. It's really easy when you kind of get older just to kind of like be nostalgic. I remember back in it's like there is a load of good music now. So it's just a way to share that, really. So it's almost like the fireplace, really, where we can kind of like come in, put some tracks into our collective playlist, and have a natter about it at the week, on a Friday, and then actually see each other this Friday. So that would be nice.
Yes.
So we're all still friends.
That's really precious, especially now. I would say I'm hazarding a guess. Manchester is your sort of your home now. It's Leicester's still there, but have you are you a sort of Leicester football supporter, or have you tried to adopt one of the Manchester teams?
No to both. So I grew up as a Brentford fan, and so we're in the playoff final for the Championship this weekend.
Oh, good luck!
So the winners go into the Premiership.
Oh, wow!
So growing up in Leicester as a Brentford fan was really weird, because you would be kind of like take the piss out of you as a Brentford fan from a Leicester fan. Mm-hmm. And Leicester in that time weren't great either. They're like in the division above us. But you're just surrounded by those lot. And so now Leicester are doing really well, and I do, since Ranieri, I've appreciated them a lot more. But yeah, so this weekend I'm going home to Leicester to watch the playoff final with my family as well. So I'll take my son with me as well.
Oh, that'll be so precious, seeing football in the flesh.
Yeah, well, no, it'll be on the screen, so we're not going to the match. Because only around 10,000 fans in the match at Wembley, which is weird.
What a shame.
But anyway, Brentford fan, character building club, and now we're doing really well, so yeah.
I can relate to that. I grew up as a Port Vale fan,
Wow.
in the shadow of Stoke City.
I've never met a Port Vale fan.
Well,
so where did you grow up?
I grew up in, it was kind of on the border of Cheshire and North Staffordshire. So around about Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah.
Oat cakes and Robbie Williams. Everyone always says, oh, Robbie Williams.
Yeah, nice.
And, just the Potteries. It's just a lovely, lovely little place. People are brilliant.
Yeah, I've never met a Port Vale fan. I didn't even know that. Clearly they do exist, but... and I shouldn't be disrespectful to you because I was in that position. So I'm quite smug now that we're not Port Vale.
Oh, you've done very well. I don't know if we'll ever quite make the championship, but there you go.
How's the pandemic been for you?
It's been, I'm very lucky. I'm very privileged. It's just been like one big stay at home. We're very lucky, aren't we, really? We've got books and we've got computer games, and I've been super busy. I've been working, and Tom's been busier than ever. So, there's that. I've talked about this in other podcasts. There's that sort of sense of guilt, when other people have been struggling. And a lot of friends I know have been on furlough. So they've had all this time and they've used it quite wisely. But for me, I've just not stopped.
Is it ramped up as well?
Yeah. Like Creative Boom is just growing and growing and growing. It's been amazing. It's been my best year. I managed to let go of my PR business.
Yeah,
finally moved away from that.
How did you feel about that?
Scared, petrified. It was a big, big step forward. I'd wanted to do it for quite a long time. But when you were talking before about how things like this just accelerate things and they just sort of bring to the fore what you might have been avoiding for some time. That was kind of the same for me. I just thought, right, it's time to sort of rip the plaster off really and get on with it, because this is what I got to the point where, because we've both been through similar paths. It wasn't for me, and I just had to do something different. And the hope long term was always that my passion project, Creative Boom, could one day become my main venture. And that's
how did you feel about that it got you to this point, but it didn't necessarily, so it was valuable in that sense, the PR side of things, but it didn't turn into like that huge thing, but this obviously is your passion project and this is the thing that you want to grow.
What do you mean, the other thing, the other business? Well, I think the other business had just evolved into something else for a long time, over many years, and it just kind of, one thing I know I'm very proud of is that I've seen many people over the years they've had to sort of, close a business down, and that's been a very expensive thing. So when people, how business works, because you've been there, you've gone through the pain and the blood and the sweat. One thing, it's very difficult to wind down a business or to do something else or to transition. It can take many years.
It's very bruising.
It's very bruising. So if there's one thing I'm very proud of, it's recognizing that, there's going to be some transition, and just trying to make that happen without sort of hurting anything or anyone, and
growth and organic growth, and you say just that transition. It's not a comfortable journey.
But it's not, and like you said before, you don't really sort of plan for these things. A lot of it's been just very organic and making it up as I go along. And I love that analogy of Wallace and Gromit. He's on the train track and he's putting out my whole experience of the last sort of 12 years has been just that. And
how do you feel like you've got a chance now of building some, and obviously you have got something solid here, so I'm clearly not new to it. But do you feel like you've almost arrived now?
Yes. And I think I'm kind of, I share that with where you're at now, because I get the sense that you've done very similar things, and that you've made all the mistakes, and you've kind of,
we'll make new ones.
Yeah, we always make mistakes. That's part of the journey. But you know what I mean? You've made enough and you've learned enough to go, okay, and now let's plan it out properly, and now and you know, that doesn't come unless you've got the security of the income coming in, and you've got, you know, a team behind you, and you've got that kind of breathing space and that room to go, okay, now let's look at these problems that need solving. And then you solve those and your business improves, and then you go, okay, that's great, that's brilliant, what do we solve next? And then you'll do that, and so on and so forth. And that, I suppose, is what I love the most. Just that constant kind of, I love it. I love the kind of constant... Does that
make you feel alive in a way, that kind of... Picking up sticks, bringing them back.
Yeah, and just like, yes, that's another one solved. Right, what's next? What can we do better next? And actually... it's great that you sort of reached out and got a partner, because I've been stung a lot over the last decade. So it's kind of knocked my confidence and my trust in reaching out to other people. And at the end of summer last year, I reached out and asked an old work colleague actually for some advice on something. And they put me in touch with a consultant who's helped me with my venture. And he's been amazing. And he's really sort of helped me see things that I just didn't think of really. And it's then that you think, gosh, you know, we can't do all these things on our own. We have to sort of reach out.
It's interesting. I was listening to I'm trying to think who it was. The music producers, and they were talking about Prince.
Yes.
And they were talking about I'm not saying, you know, but I'm not comparing you to Prince, and I'm not putting you in that kind of like pressure in that sense. But the point of that, yes, he could do everything by his own, but in a way you need there's patchiness in his output where he could have done with somebody being objective. Like a music producer, obviously he produces his own stuff, and you know, you with your consultant, your non-exec, however you want to kind of having just that experience where they can see around these corners, and they can open certain, you know, your eyes to certain things, or they say, you know, you can go faster here or slow down, or those sorts of things. It just it's to be able to kind of just talk something through and then understand, well, actually, that's the answer there, but you have to be able to verbalise it in a space where somebody, you trust their opinion and their experience to hold that ground for you to kind of explore what you're talking about, so you can then find the solution in that. And having somebody in that area on your side is really important.
Yeah. And do you find that that's the case with your partner? And because you said you sort of went from being on your own and trying to run around and solve all these things and deal with it, basically be like one of these musicians you see in the street, and they've got, you know, the guitar and the drum and the... Yeah,
and I've never had a music lesson.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't go as far as that. I mean, if you're going to compare me to Prince.
Proper backup singer. No, yes is the answer. And I think that also having the business partner I have, so it's not just, as you mentioned, it's not just any business partner. There is attitude, it's the kind of, it's the degree of risk that we're both happy to take. It's the fact that it's not 9 to 5, so obviously we want to get to a point where it is 9 to 5. But it just means that they're not clock watching in the sense of it, that we just want to do good work and then we'll kind of adjust the business model going forwards once we learn, you know, once we can do that. So it's not an employee mindset, even though we do have an employee. And so just, again, it's not just the problem solving, it's kind of, for me, it's having somebody to collaborate from a vision perspective.
Yes.
and not having those insecurities of saying that it's like, no, let's just keep building something else. So an example, classic kind of example is that, right, if you want to grow a business to £1 million, that's in a lot of entrepreneurs' minds. Very traditional in that sense, but it is like, what does that look like? It probably looks like doing more of the same studio output that we do, but just like a bit more of it in a way. So
yeah,
same type of work, just more clients doing the same sort of thing. If I said, so if we wanted to grow it to 10 million, what does that look like? What do we offer at that? Is it the same stuff? We're just doing, again, more and more and more of that? Maybe. Then the question, what was if we want to grow it to 100 million?
Yeah.
Which is so far beyond what we're doing now. It's like, but structure-wise, kind of content-wise, in terms of product, services, all those sorts of things, curriculums, etc. What goes into a £100 million business? If we were to architect that, what would it look like? And so I think that's allowing ourselves to not just, there's a naivety to that in the sense that not many businesses do that. So I'm not trying to be more than I can be, but at the same time, I'm not trying to limit what we can be.
Exactly.
But it's also stepping into that tomorrow business as opposed to we just want to do websites, brand stuff, and all, which we do. But it's like, what else could we build in the growth area of the brand? So those sorts of things interest me. And having a business partner who's not going to say, well, that's stupid. Who'll explore that, we'll explore that. And actually that's now it's now bringing in somebody else into the business as well who we're exploring. Somebody came to us who's worked in the property industry for 15 years or so. And he likes the fact that we're purpose-driven as a brand. And so we don't push our sales efforts into the market. We kind of like try and bring the market into us through engagement, conversations, etc. And one of the gaps we've seen is that I would split property developers into two parts. One, a kind of traditional, get some land, flip the property, etc., which is fine. And the others are probably a bit more long-term thinking. And so for us, it's like, well, he wants to be part of a brand that actually stands for something and isn't just about making other people money. So we're looking at actually creating sustainable communities with that. And that wouldn't be so actually doing commercial property development with our community of architects, engineers, all these people, but we'll lead the project with that. And that wouldn't come in if we hadn't thought about what does our brand look like if we stretched it.
That's brilliant.
So it's just a way of playing games in that way of that space.
Yeah.
And actually it has brought somebody in who's interested and fits our values and our purpose. So
this is really good advice for anyone listening, because I suppose when you're freelancing on your own, you might sort of not even think that, where could this possibly lead?
Yeah, and mine's, just as simple as everybody else's is, training as an illustrator, worked as an illustrator on, didn't make much money doing that, and it wasn't about that. But all I've done is follow creativity and explored it. And I think that, looking at automation and those sorts of things, creativity is almost like the last frontier. So why not explore it?
It's definitely, why not explore it? It's definitely something anybody can do, no matter where they're at wherever they're at in their career. Think of the best possible outcome. And also the other thing to point out is don't be ashamed of making money or wanting to make more money. Well,
I think that's the money is the byproduct of the value. And I mean, that's taken me a long time to I've known people who are really like, they just follow the money, and that's absolutely fine. But I think that where we are now, where there's a need of purpose-driven brands, so that sits more comfortably with, I think, creative people on the whole who are creating stuff out of joy, basically. But it's about connecting that cultural aspect of creating that creative value to the commercial business model and having that infrastructure of the business model right. And so what I've been looking at is having an end-to-end framework of a business that looks at the purpose and then goes into all the product pyramids, for example, of creating value as you go along and all those products. So a framework for my creative thinking, and then that ties in with the sales channels and growth and all those things. But it houses that in the brand. So it enables me to think as creatively as I can do, or to collaborate with people who can push that creativity much further. But then also connecting that into the business model. So that's kind of what I've been working on over the past 12 months since we've been in lockdown. So hopefully it's that balance between putting out the stuff you love into the world, then also, capturing the cash in the way that is appropriate to what you stand for, really. So it sits more comfortably as a creative person who, in the past, has spent all his money on going clubbing.
Or like Animal Crossing, or
exactly,
or records.
Or those, the sticks and stuff and whatever. But yeah, so I would say it's and my first business was as structured as it could be, whereas this business I'm structuring it and working together with the team to design to structuring the architecture of the brand for growth. So that's kind of like what we're looking at.
And it's not an overnight thing, because we're talking a career that spanned like 20 years.
Yeah.
You started off, like the rest of us, just figuring out what you wanted to do, and you luckily happened upon fashion illustration, and now you're sort of running your own branding studio, specialising in the built environment and solving these what to a young graduate in 2002 would have probably not been able to get their head around. It's just a lot of complicated business talk, and
still is. There's loads of jargon in it, and I think that just to come back to that point is that even now we're at the beginning of the growth cycle. So the economy is going to pick up in September. I'm going to have 10 years worth of unprecedented growth based on previous data.
Yes.
So it's been about getting the business in the right place for that growth. But there's also this thing that, the fire might go out at that point. It's not like there's any guarantees that, things might blow up at that point. It might still not, the business still might not take off. But in terms of going back, so I just finally on this bit was, when I set my first business up, I was like, right, okay, set it up and make some money. Once it starts making money, I'll go back to doing my illustration work.
Oh.
I haven't drawn for 15 years.
Good grief.
So that was like the big part. That was my identity from, copying stuff out of the Beano as a child through to, studying at university and all these things. I haven't drawn for 15 years because I put everything into running one business that was, let's just say it was, learning my trade. And then the second one. And so if I was to speak to myself, and if there was a graduate, who was at the beginning of their journey, that overnight success is, and then juxtapose that with the average age of a successful entrepreneur is 46. It's not the Zuckerbergs of the world.
No.
And you make more money in your second business than you do in your first business on average.
Oh, do you? Oh, dang. Sorry, I was going to get a Brooklyn Nine-Nine line in there.
Yeah. So it's, you have to go through it to get to it, Katie.
Oh, it's been a lot of pain.
Yeah, but, as opposed to what? Just...
I would have been bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
I would have been bored out of my mind, and I couldn't have worked for anybody else.
You probably could have done. You probably could have done.
I don't know, but I'm like, I'm one of these people who keeps an open mind, because, what I'm doing now might not carry on. It might not work.
It might evolve, continue to develop into this brilliant thing that it is.
Well, I hope so. That would be nice.
That's probably a bit, that will happen, obviously.
I mean, maybe I'm going to start taking more inspiration from Prince now and see where he potentially went wrong, and then
Yeah, don't buy a massive studio, and those sorts of things. And don't, but
don't change your name. Don't change your name.
It's an interesting one. All of these things are interesting, and it's that creative journey that obviously you explore in your podcasts. And I think part of it is that for me, and maybe for some other people, you kind of see just a lot of success stories, which is good because it keeps you going, but it also can distort the mind a little bit.
Really can.
And but once you kind of find your lane, it's definitely yours to build as opposed to having to imitate. And I think that, like with what you're doing now, you're not, obviously there's influence, but you're not imitating. I think that's where you kind of know whether or not you're on point or on brand or not. It's like because it's intrinsically yours and for your community.
I think I don't know if you did this, but I spent an awful lot of time looking around and seeing what other people were doing really well and losing sort of focus and finding myself sort of drifting a little bit. And then sort of going through that process of, okay, well, I'm never going to be like them and I'm not ever going to be like that. So what am I and what is good about me and what is really strong about me and what can I build on from that? And I think we all have to go through that process because we are ourselves, and Creative Boom as a venture couldn't be anything more than what it is, which is, this friendly, lovable thing.
They're your coordinates, and I think that they're slightly different to other people's coordinates. And once you kind of find those, then you can build that out. I think that when we're not quite sure or we're still exploring what they are, which is all part of the process as well, that's absolutely fine.
Of course it is.
People know what, I can't think of another word, but authenticity is. They know it when they see it and when they feel it. And that is something that comes from the DNA of the directors or the artists or the creators. And then they can buy into that. They can believe that it actually has some value and weight and credibility to it, and it's not trying to be something that's not, and that's what's attractive to these sorts of things. So.
Exactly. And you found your anchor and I found mine, and now we can sort of pour all our energy and love into growing it and building it. And it's, again, going back to that satisfaction of being able to plan and think about it a bit more, and having the luxury of saying, okay, well, what's next? And okay, if we were to build a £100 million turnover business, what would that look like?
But give yourself time to look at that. And if that was one bit of advice, it would be that kind of like allow yourself to not just dream, but just kind of like take away, like, whether it's somebody in your past saying you can't do this or whatever, just give yourself just that space to say, actually, what does this look like? Because you're going to be doing this for the next 10 years anyway, so you might as well plan the thing that you want if you allow yourself to.
Yeah, definitely.
In my humble opinion.
Yeah, in my humble opinion too. And it's like reaching for the stars and like you say, just ignoring those voices in your head or externally. And recognizing that you have got something valuable to give, and there is this little like niche of yours that you can build in the world and make something of, but it might take you a little while to get there. But I love that you're like really enthusiastic about the next 10 years.
But why not? Why not?
Yeah,
I think that
take the optimistic view.
We've been in lockdown for 12 months, so we might as well do something good when we come out of it.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for your time today, William. This has just been really lovely. And actually, I love that you were interviewing me at one point as well. That was fun.
Yeah. Oh, today? Oh, no, in the future when I run my own podcast, you'll be on that as well.
Will you really? That would be great.
Yeah. But no, it's great to have a conversation. Really good to explore creativity. Love what you guys are doing, what you're doing. I'm excited to see what you do next. And I think it's a really important platform.
Thank you, my love.
So, thanks very much.
You've been listening to the Creative Boom podcast with your host, Katie Cowan. Thanks to our sponsor, Shillington, the original graphic design bootcamp that has helped students achieve award-winning portfolios and land incredible jobs in as little as 3 months. To find out more, go to shillingtoneducation.com. To listen or subscribe to the Creative Boom podcast, visit creativeboom.com/podcast. And if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to leave us a review. It really helps. See you next time when my guest will be Katie Chappell, a virtual scribe and live event illustrator.